Hi guys, Yushatak here for Kerbal's space program. I can hear you guys all saying, what the fuck is this? Before I even begin, so this is an indie game doing a similar license thing to Minecraft where it's first free, then costs some money, then costs more money, etc. until it's done. It is currently at 0.13.2, so it's pretty early on. Basically, you're running a space program for these little weird fuckers. And I started playing this yesterday or the day before, and I could not get anywhere when I first started. I skipped all the tutorials because I'm crazy. And made a rocket that wouldn't fly, made one that wouldn't get off the ground very far, made one that wouldn't get through the atmosphere, made a whole lot that wouldn't get through the atmosphere. And basically then I kept getting higher and higher and higher and higher. Eventually I escaped the gravity of the Earth and orbited the Sun. And I'd like to show you guys the rocket that I used to do that because it's pretty psychotic and probably shouldn't have worked. Okay. Alright. Not going to be able to talk during this because it's going to be really loud until all of the stages are done, probably. Well, you know, I'm gonna adjust the volume just for you. 2, 1. There we go. And it's pretty much as quiet as it can get. I'm gonna turn off the anti-aliasing too. Game crashed there. Changing the options while you're recording with Fraps is never really a good idea. Hold F to activate the SAS stabilizers, and space changes stages of the rocket, so let's get flying. As you can see, it barely flies at all when you first start with this rocket, but the higher you get, the more inertia it gets. The crazy little wing flappy things that are flapping in the breeze are compensating for the wavering of this psychotic looking thing. The parts that look like oil drums are fuel for the liquid rockets. Now you're probably thinking, wow, you're almost out of fuel for this thing already, and or you're out of fuel for stage 1, but I've actually got 3 times the fuel for stage 1, 4 times actually. So while it's going slow as crap, this will actually get me through most of the lower atmosphere, from the ground up to near the upper atmosphere. And then my second stage of the rocket can take over from there, getting me through the upper atmosphere and as far into space as possible. And that's actually enough to escape the gravitational pull of the Earth, or Kerbal, I think it's called in this game. This is probably the slowest rocket anybody's ever made that actually gets out of the gravitational pull. It's pretty crazy. I've had way more primitive looking designs. One of them I called the scaffolding, that had like a psychotic array of solid engines around the bottom and barely got off the ground in stage 1, got like to 300 meters or something stupid. Alright, so while this might be slow as crap, it actually does pick up speed the entire time, and it doesn't fall at all, so it is progress. And then this last burn actually uses more fuel canisters, so it takes longer for it to run out of fuel on this last go. Before, it was sharing a fuel canister for each group of engines. Not really sure why it does that. I guess when it detects enough fuel canisters to do 1 per engine, it just does it. If anybody knows how to configure that, please feel free to leave it in the comments, but I doubt anybody who watches my videos has played this. However, maybe new people will find me now, because they're searching for Kerbal Space Program stuff. As you can see, the psychotic people, this guy loses his mind. This guy loses his mind a little bit a little bit harder. This guy, it's hard as shit to make him scared. He's crazy. You can do it though. So we are almost out of the lower atmosphere, and we are also almost out of fuel for the stage 1. Stage 1 lasts a hell of a long time with this design. It's kind of like the space shuttle in that respect. Except I think the space shuttle might be 3 stages. This is only 2. Alright, so when we get to 0 fuel, I'm going to activate this stage, which will like push all of these rockets off of the center part, and then we will blast off even harder out of the rest of the atmosphere. Gotta concentrate. Here we go. Alright. That went off without any problems at all. The 3 booster things fell away, and now we've got this smaller rocket that's about 1/3 the power of the large boosters, but way less weight, way less drag. We've still got stabilizing fins, so until you get all the way out of the atmosphere, you really need those, and even when you're completely out, it helps. You can see over here that the amount of force applied to the stabilizing fins is way lower than when we started, which was like up here going back and forth. Each time that it like flaps up and down, the fins are flapping up and down to compensate. Our speed is nearing a kilometer per second almost. And since you are leaving the atmosphere, less and less drag and less relevance of the weight, so it exponentially will go up. We're only at half fuel, but you'll see that since this is going up faster and faster, the height's going up faster and faster, which also makes this go up faster and faster. So we've got a really sharp exponential curve for this part. We will get to about 2.8 kilometers per second, I believe, before we run out of fuel. I forgot that apparently you can hit T to toggle the SAS. And I'm gonna speed up time here. You can only go up to 2x while you're still in the atmosphere. Second fuel burn. I always forget that this one has 2 fuel stages. It uses cans down here, then it uses cans up here, or rather the other way around, but I always think, oh crap, we're not getting enough speed, and then it kicks into the second stage of fuel. As you can see, we're almost 200k, and we're almost 2 kilometers per second, and we've still got half a tank of fuel for each of these rockets. We're at 2.4 kilometers per second at almost 300k up, 300 kilometers, 300,000 kilometers rather, 333 kilometers. Alright, nearing 3 kilometers per second, and then we pop the pod off because that's less drag and it carries all the inertia of that 3 kilometers per second, making this go up even faster at like a kilometer every quarter of a second. And if we hit M, we can then see the projected path of the pod which is nearing 500,000 kilometers. And as you can see, the projected path is so far you can't fucking see the apex. You're going to speed up time a little bit more now that we're out of the thing. Alright, now we're at full speed. As you can see, there is no projected path at the moment. Well, there is, but it's over there. Now we have been caught by the gravity of the sun. And it's going to waver back and forth a little bit as it establishes an orbit, which it just has. And now we are in a stable orbit around the sun, which will actually speed us up to about 10 kilometers per second. And the altitude from the sun will drop a fair bit to around 9 kilometers, or 90,000, no, 9 something. I don't feel like thinking about decimal places. 9 whatever the top number is kilometers, a little bit higher than this, and then it will enter a stable orbit. Put M, you can see that this has changed, and these two are just like, oh shit, and this guy's like, yay. We are 12 kilometers above the sun, I believe, and dropping, but it won't drop to the point where they go into the sun. So yeah, basically there's absolutely nothing else this rocket can do because there is no more rocket. It's just a pod with a parachute that is completely useless. Depending on the time which you launch, I guess it could enter the gravity of one of the planets in orbit of the sun. Periapsis, that one. It is feasible that if that was lined up at the right time, you could maybe land on that. Maybe. But I have no way of knowing when that is. You can see the moon, which is called Mun, or maybe it's just pronounced moon. That's the only part you can see from here of the Earth planetary system. You can't see the Earth, or Kerbal as it's called, I believe. Anyway, so that is basically all that I've gotten in this game so far. If I can launch a rocket with engines to this point, then I could speed up and surpass this thing's speed and catch up to it and try to land on it. That is my next goal. But I honestly don't know how the hell I'm going to do that, because I barely get out of the gravitational pull with this thing, really. Alright, so let me know if you guys like this. Maybe I'll do another video of me failing hard with exploding rockets and whatnot, trying to get up there. In fact, before I go, I'm going to show you guys some of my shittier rockets, because I've still got a couple of the designs around. This is my first thing that I was working on. This thing went through like 50 million incarnations. It's not the worst rocket in the world, but it used to be. This one uses all solid fuel boosters. As you can see, it needs stabilization and it can't handle it on its own. But if I tap the keys to do manual stabilization, it can make it up there. I accidentally separated the stage early. But that's okay, because it stays attached until they drop off. this rocket doesn't actually have SAS at all because I didn't know how to activate the SAS, so it was completely useless. And actually, you could save weight by not using it. And that right there is pretty much the end of this. So this one gets to the upper atmosphere, and then floats around a little bit, and that's about it.